Okay, today we're going to be talking about some costs associated with operating and maintaining a vehicle, and not so much, what it actually costs, because you guys know that. You have to pay for gas, you have to pay for registration, oil, checkups, stuff like that. What we're going to talk about is a little bit more advanced, finding out what your cost per mile is, how much you're putting into the car versus how much you're actually driving it. Okay, so we're going to compute the total cost per mile for operating and maintaining a vehicle. We'll also talk a little bit about depreciation. Let's get to that first, actually. If something depreciates, that means it goes down in value. So the definition of depreciation is a decrease in the value of an item or vehicle because of its age or condition. Now, sometimes you might hear about depreciation in terms of the car's value depreciates, let's say 15% every year, just an example number. We're not going to deal with the percentages so much. We're just going to deal with, how much was your car worth? How much is it worth now? What's the difference between this? How much has the cost gone down each year? So depreciation means a loss in value. When we talk about cost per mile, we're going to be talking about variable costs and fixed costs. And we've talked about this before with fixed and variable expenses. A fixed expense is something you have to pay every year no matter what. The price is always the same. Okay? This would be things like a registration for a car or a license renewal or something like that. Car insurance, potentially. The variable cost are costs that can change from year to year. So the examples that they give, variable costs, gas, oil changes, getting maybe a new set of tires, that's not going to be the same every single year. Whereas a fixed cost, registration, taxes, etc., those are pretty much going to be the same every year. We're going to look at one formula today, and that is the cost per mile formula. Cost per mile formula is basically you find the total cost of using the car and divide it by how many miles you drive in an entire year. So annual variable cost, annual plus annual fixed cost divided by the total number of miles driven in that year. Okay, it's very straightforward. So example number 1. Mike drove his car 13,400 miles this year. His fixed costs totaled $4,627, and his variable costs totaled $1,860. What is his cost per mile? Okay. Now, if we look at the formula, obviously you want to have a low cost per mile. You don't want to be paying that much for your car, and you want to get a lot of miles out of it. So obviously you want to keep the costs as low as possible and be able to drive as many miles as you need. So typically, if you're driving more miles and the cost is not that high, that's good. You want a very low cost per mile. So let's use this formula. The variable cost is $1,860 for the year, plus the fixed costs, $4,627 per year, and that gets divided by the total number of miles driven, in this case 13,400. So we do the addition first because it's on top of the fraction. We add those together. 1860 plus $4,627. We hit equals. Make sure you don't just hit divide because some calculators might not like that. They might give you an answer that's kind of weird. $6,487 divided by $13,400, miles. I'm just going to put the units in there. And we get a cost of 0.48 per mile. So what that means is on average, for every mile this guy drives, it costs him about 48 cents to maintain and operate that vehicle. Okay? The cost per mile equation is very simple. We've done things much harder than that. I don't think you guys need much more practice with it. Let's do one other example, though, about depreciation. John purchased a new Honda Civic 2 years ago at a price of $17,500. Kelley Blue Book, where you can look up prices for used cars, estimates that it is worth $14,350 today. The price went down because he's been using it. It's an older car now. How much has the car depreciated, and what is the average depreciation per year? So in order to find out how much it's depreciated, that just means how much has the cost gone down, the price. $17,500 minus $14,350. Very simple. This is the depreciation, $3,150. That's how much it has depreciated in value. Okay, that's how much it's going down. What's the average per year? Well, it did this in 2 years. If I want to find out on average about how much it depreciated in just 1 year, all I have to do is divide this by 2. And we get that the depreciation is approximately $1,575 per year depreciation. This last question I have crossed off because that would require a little bit more complex of a formula. We're just not going to look at it. We don't have time to look at that. But there you go. Okay. Pretty simple equations for dealing with how your car value changes and how you know how much you're getting, how much value you're getting out of your car in a cost per mile, on a cost per mile basis. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll see you later.